Greetings, Zogling. Well, you're a man that asks clouds across the spirit and Zog, playing here in the open air, coast to coast in that house we call Zog Babylon, the third and final. But this particular show, Mad Dog's Musings, is as usual aimed at the lost and found sheep of the house of Israel, ye chosen seed of Israel's race, ye who did hear Christ's call. But I'm running as a write-in candidate for United States Senator, so this will be Mad Dog's Musings, but it'll also be, since it is, 7:15, right around the time of sunset, pretty well right now, you'll have what us Aryan Christian Israelites call the Feast of Trumpets, in which the Canaanite Jews, who I think are spawn of Satan, call the first day of the new year. It's sometime usually within a couple weeks of the fall equinox. And what you'll have is soon after you'll have the Days of Atonement, and you'll have the Feast of Tabernackles. So we're heading into the the festival that Yahweh gave to Moses. And Moses went ahead and wrote down and told the children of Israel. And I believe that it was during the Exodus in about 1550 or so BC, when Egypt had two pharaohs. It had the native Egyptian pharaoh out of Thebes in Upper Egypt, and it had these Canaanite Amorite Jews who had gone ahead and chased down Joseph and his brothers into the land of Goshen to rule over them, because they were all annoyed at what happened in Shechem when this Canaanite prince raped Israel's daughter Dinah, and there was a big stink about that here. So anyway, it is the Feast of Tabernacles. Sorry, not Feast of Tabernacle, but Feast of Trumpets. Really, I think it's the most dire of festivals, because what it represents is the Great Tribulation. 3.5 years of bad stuff going on, and it starts out with a bang in Revelation chapter 4. In which the four horsemen of apocalypse killed about 25% of the world population. It's sort of hard to miss that. We haven't, just like Jesus Christ said, there will be a tribulation such as never was, and wouldn't be again unless he should return. There should be no human. And as we look at human, you have to be an Aryan Christian Israelite. Well, not an Aryan, but you have to be not an Israelite. You have to be, from the sons of Adam here, which include the Slavs here, who are the sons of Japheth. So, any case, there's a number of things going on, but pretty much, I think this is the most dire one, because it represents, in one day, the Great Tribulation of a total of 7 years. And then at the end of it, Jesus Christ returns. He has Michael put Satan into the pit during the Day of Atonement, which is a day that you have to fast and pray. It's the most holy day of all. And Satan is put away. He is the scapegoat. All the sins of the world are upon him and his children, the Jews. And, pretty well you get done with Jews here. But even so, you'll have the Feast of Tabernacles, which means the Millennium. I am, Christian identity is a pre-millennialist doctrine. There's amillennialists, which means that we're in the millennial now, which is foolish. And there's post-millennials, which is essentially unscriptural. So, anyway, I believe what I believe right now. Someone like myself is going to have a lot of persecution from Satan and Satan's government here. Like getting my property taken away, having my sister lose $150,000. I hope that they leave her alone. But on the other hand, there's not going to be any peace. There's going to be nothing but a war against the children of Satan, who are the Jews, and those who are Jew between the ears. Those who say they are Jews but are not, but are rather of the synagogue of Satan. They're proselytes. They're twice the child of hell that even the birth order Jews are. Jews cannot help themselves. They are the spawn of Satan. Even, anyone who has a bit of Jew in them will act according to the bloodline of his father. And they will serve Satan. And it will appear right now that they're doing very well. I was looking at 60 Minutes tonight, and you end up having this Jew Secretary of State yap in here about, tell Vladimir Putin he better not use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Okay, what if he does? What if you go ahead and with all your giving guns to him here and causing all that trouble, he feels that he has to, in order to save Russia from being torn apart and looted like in 1990s, he's not going to have that. He's going to go ahead and make it a moot point. You won't be using a lot of natural gas and oil and pig iron, and all the other stuff that Russia has plenty of. Russia has a rather old-fashioned economy here. I've gone ahead and seen them talking on cell phones. Now, they're not as bad as zoggling Whig retards are. Somebody like Jim Chandler, all he does is if he's in, he'll be looking at porn, and if he's not, he'll be looking on Facebook. These critters are always on Facebook. Hell, some incel Whigger boy could go ahead and have the most beautiful, big-titted girl here, and he wouldn't be going ahead and staring at her face, which will appeal to her more, or her tits. He'll be going ahead and looking. He'll be going ahead and looking at this stupid cell phone. You know what I mean? I really didn't get my own cell phone till a couple of years around 2012, 2013, when I was, 52, 53. I didn't really, now I use it to, essentially I don't have, Wi-Fi. I have to go ahead and use cell phone hotspot. So anyway, that is the way things are here. And tonight, I'll go ahead and I will do a show with Logan Hunter, and we'll do an Understanding Dual Seed Line Christian Identity podcast. But anyway, you end up having these, essentially the Jews who go ahead and run Zog, the Zionist-occupied government. What happens? They don't really care for ordinary, Whiggers. They don't care for them at all. Screw them. They go ahead and use the Negroes as their pet beasts here to attack white people. They go ahead and bring in, essentially all the other colors of the world to take the white man's stuff. And they go ahead and just like, Bridget Meyer, South Dakota State Supreme Court, Robert Conrad, they go ahead and give Brian Real my property. It don't matter to them. It ain't my property, it's their property. Go ahead and do with it as they see fit. And then they wonder why people don't want to work too hard. Why should we? Even the young Chinese, it's called let it rot, or, go ahead and lay down. Because the more you work, the more they'll put on you. You're stupid enough to be a willing, horse here and pull their plows here. You see, Satan and his Jew kids here, they do not believe. They believe in muzzling the ox that treadeth the grain. Now, what I think Vladimir Putin ought to do is most Russians live in big old 5 or 6 story buildings, and maybe go ahead and keep them maintained. But outside that property, they should have farms, which they can go and move to in the summer. And, pretty well they go out, and maybe there ought to be a time from maybe midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning, dark time. Maybe they ought to have it to where, guess what? The internet's turned off. So guess what? You'll end up having the fun that man and woman have together here, and go ahead and produce, just like a cow. A cow can eat grass. We can't eat it very well. So what happens? The cow eats the grass. The cow ends up having a calf. The calf grows up to be a cow or a bull or a steer and eats the grass, and you end up having the meat and the milk. But they can go ahead and produce from grass that you can't. So you're living off the cow in many cases here. But you're also growing your own food here. But not altogether bugs or vegetables or anything like that here. You are living close to nature. You're living close to yourself. And at such times here, you should, at the proper time, every Sabbath here, you should relax here, and thank Yahweh that you're alive and that you are one of His children here. And the same on the high holy days here. You realize who you are, and you realize who the Jews and who the non-whites are. They're just simply, at best, parasites, and at worst, out-and-out enemies to destroy you. And you should not believe the liars who go ahead and tell you, like that Jew Secretary of State did, about how it's all Vladimir Putin's fault. If they had refrained from overthrowing the actual elected government of Ukraine, and then if they had decided to simply let the Russians, who said, we don't want any of this, we want to rejoin Russia, we don't care what, Lenin or Stalin or, Khrushchev went ahead and gave of our property to the Ukrainians just to go ahead and get along with them, keep them from whining. No. What happens, you should understand, is that people have a right to go ahead and choose, the right and the duty to choose their government. And if, like today, it goes ahead and sends you to jail or takes your grandchildren and sells them and turns them into homosexuals and, perverts, essentially sterile perverts here who are messed up in the head, you destroy these people. You destroy these people, be they at Newton County or be they in Jefferson City or they be in South Dakota or Ohio or across the Zogland here. Why should we obey any of these people who claim to be the legitimate government? Go ahead and listen to them that, guess what? The ordinary knew that, essentially the selection was stolen. I don't have much hope here for coming up pretty soon about voting harder for another stolen selection. Why bother? Why bother? So anyway, this is Pastor Martin Lindstedt. I'm running as a write-in candidate for United States Senate. You can go ahead and send some Zog bucks if you want to Pastor Martin Mad Dog Lindstedt, Lindstedt, 338 Rap Track Road, P.O. Box 666 if you're not superstitious and you have problems remembering stuff. Granby, Granby, Missouri, 64844. And until later, I'm going to go in and start the religious service here in a little bit. So until that later, hail victory.